Welcome to the world of ability. You are in the right place at the right time because it is time for conversations that matter. It's time for people that you would love to meet. We're going to bring them on in here and give you a chance to meet some friends that, you know how this works. It's kind of popcorning. We have folks that come and go all day long here with us, and we do have a special featured guest that will be joining us later in the program here. World of Ability Podcast Network. Have you checked us out lately? Because we have a lot going on. I'm gonna share my screen here. I'm gonna just get the correct page to the front here so that I'm sure you can see what I'm seeing. There's a lot of great things, a lot of great programs that if you haven't been keeping up with us, you need to get on the shtick because we've got a lot of shows to share. A lot of wonderful people who are sharing their talents and sharing their knowledge. And here is a quick little view of what's all happening with World of Ability. Oh my gosh. This week alone was a busy week. Check this out. You can see that we have a lot happening. Yesterday, there were 5 shows that happened yesterday. We have 2 here today. On Thursday, we had 5 shows. What are all of these? Look at this. At noon every day. We just got done with the shakedown. You can get to this calendar. I will make sure you have the link to be able to share into this. But check it out. If you click on the calendar itself, what? I thought I had the link on there. Oh, here's a fail. I have got it on here though. Email me for that link. You know what? We don't want people to Zoom bomb this, so I guess I was a little extra protective. Email me. I will send you that link. Check it out. Susan at projectdiehard.org. I am so happy to share that link out one-on-one. Join us on the shakedown. But look at this. On Sundays, we've got Blue Collar Crypto, and that's where, again, on this one, you can hop right in. This is actually the same Zoom link that we're on right now. So if you want to join us right now, you can do that too. But we have Blue Collar Crypto at 4 and 5:30 every Sunday. On Mondays, Project Diehard Mission Monday Update. That again is one where if you want to be a guest on there, reach out. Email me, Susan at projectdiehard.org. If you're not familiar with Project Diehard yet, what are you waiting for? Let me get back to that. But Project Diehard is all about preventing veteran suicide. Yeah, an organization actually has to exist for that. That tells you something, right? So you want to know more? Tune in. Come talk to us. I'm actually an ambassador with Project Diehard, and I would be happy to talk to you about what's going on there and the needs. So that is something to pay attention to. And every Monday night, we give updates on what's going on with Project Diehard. We introduce you to folks that are associated with Project Diehard. That's where you get to know what's going on. So tune in. And where do you tune in? Super easy. Look at us on Facebook and on YouTube. But check this out. We've got all these different shows going on. And we even have 2 on Thursdays here. And I saw Dr. Harvey is hopping in with us. He has a show himself. It's For the Health of It. Takes place on Thursdays at 11 o'clock Central. Let me go ahead and head on back to my main screen here. At least I saw him coming in. Let me see. Oh, there he is. I was just talking about you, and there you are. Because we were just making a comment about your podcast. I was showing the whole calendar here of the different shows that take place during the week. Welcome, Dr. Harvey. So good to see you. How you doing today?
Same to see you, Sue. I'm glad to be here. I'm doing pretty good. How are you doing up in the cold area of the country?
You know what? I was just saying, I think I'm making a mistake with where I'm setting myself up to do these shows. I'm actually in my little studio in the basement, but it's chilly down here, and it is really nice outside. I actually am sitting under blankets because it's the coolest spot in the house, and it's gorgeous outside. I think next week I might have to move things and set myself up outside because that would be a lot more pleasant right now.
It would, and it would also give you a much nicer background.
Yes, it would. Maybe
You
before
wouldn't
I'm
have to
done today,
think
I
of
might make an adjustment here. So,
it. So yeah, I mean, we're here. We're pushing 100. Not quite.
oh, well, you'd
Not
like it
quite.
here then. I think we're around 80-ish out there right now, and very windy, actually.
And the low this morning was 80. Our low was
Zero
your
low.
high.
Wow.
And and I wrote an article about heat and elderly people. And one of the things elderly people don't do is handle the heat well. They may think they do, but they
Yeah.
don't.
So
And
what?
when it gets to be 80 at night, that doesn't allow your body time to heal, to cool off, unless
Oh,
you have air conditioning.
unless you have and not everybody has that.
Right, right.
So what is it that they should do? What kind of things are going to make the most difference for folks as they're dealing with this heat?
Well, one thing is make sure you drink a lot of water.
That's huge.
Second thing is don't go out in the heat.
Stay in where it's
Eat,
cool.
right. In the old days, we used to go to movie theaters back when I was a kid because they were air conditioned. Um, if you don't have air conditioning, uh, use a fan to keep things moving.
Hmm.
And if you get too sick, call the fire department.
They can come and help.
Right. They can also tell whether you're having a heat stroke or, things aren't going well with your head, because that's what happens. Um,
Yeah.
you and you don't really realize it. People don't realize when they're getting dehydrated unless they, you know, fall unconscious.
Well, so
So,
what are some things that people can look for? Because you're right, people don't know, and once you're already too far, it's hard to backtrack and be like, oh wait, I've got a problem here.
well, if you start to get a little strange in your thinking, if you start running short of breath, if you and you don't get thirsty. That's the interesting thing. When you get dehydrated, you don't get thirsty. And if you notice that, that's a big thing. It's 100 degrees outside, it's 85 in my house, and I'm not thirsty. What's wrong with this picture? The other thing is, and I tell people, I warn though, when you're at a heat, what we call a heat advisory or a heat warning, in our city, it's when the temperature goes above 105. And that's the temperature, not the thing they figure out how hot it is. Um, you have to eat salt. Because you would realize that your body is getting rid of the salt, which is why you're getting dehydrated, because the salt holds the water. The other thing you can do is you can eat use the little packets that make your water wetter. What do? They put back the electrolytes.
Electrolytes are important.
And what I give people when I'm working with them as diabetics, because they don't drink enough water either,
Mhm.
I have them buy those packets and use one every day, because that's going to replace micronutrients. And your body has to have micronutrients to work. Doesn't work without them. Um, and so you really have to be aware. But most importantly, you need to have somebody look in on you. Get a buddy system. Get your kids to look in. And when you get a heat advisory, which means in your area the heat is going to be oppressive, have your kids check in twice a day. Make sure you can answer the phone. And if your son or your daughter calls, they can probably also tell whether something's not right with your mental functioning. But that's the key. You're going to get sick. You may get a headache. And I mean a real headache, like the mother of all headaches. Uh, that happens. There's just, think back when you were a little kid and you went to the swimming pool and you stayed there the whole day and you stayed in the water the whole day. And then you walked home across the field where there was no shade. How did you feel that night? Feel a little nauseated, feel a little sick. Usually drinking some water, putting a little salt in it will fix that, or now you can put the electrolytes in. But when that doesn't work, you end up with one phenomenal headache. And you get sick and you throw up and you get other things. And that's like when you start getting those symptoms, when you get nauseated and you're throwing up and you get a headache, you need to call the paramedics.
Yeah, you need help. You don't want to be in that situation, and
Right.
it's okay to make that call. I know some people hesitate. They're like, "Oh, I don't want to bother somebody else." Well, we want you to be okay. Oh my goodness, because that's a. I gotta say too. I know there's folks that work outside in the heat too. They need to pay attention. If you're at that point where because you should be sweating, right? You should be
Yes.
sweating out there,
And
and
if
if
you're
you hit
not
that
sweating, right,
if all of a
that's why they
sudden you
make him
feel
that.
cool when you should be overly heated and you're feeling kind of cool,
That's
that's
why
not
in
good.
those work sites, you'll see you have to drink the water and take the salt tablets. I mean, but those are younger people, you know.
Right.
But they make, and I used to say, why in the world would you be out there in long sleeve shirts and pants and a big hat? And then you have to think, if you're out there, you're going to be in that sun. You don't want that sun with the ultraviolet rays hitting your skin. So that's, people have to use their head. And you got to remember, you're not, at least for me, you're not, yeah, when we would go to the lake, I mean, literally, we would get there on a Friday afternoon and in the shade, it was 103 degrees. But this was in the 80s, 103
Mm-hmm.
degrees. And I was a lot younger in the 80s than I am now. And it didn't bother me. I could do really well. I started going back about 15 years and I was out when it was 100 degrees and I got sick. I had to come in. Again,
Body's
because my
changed.
body doesn't react the same way. I'm not the big stud I was when I was 40 years old. My body, my body goes down just like everybody else's. Folks, it's not anything you're doing wrong. It's just biology.
Yeah, things
It's all
change
it
and
is.
that's okay. You just got to pay attention to it, and the worst thing you can do is tough it out and think, "Ah, it's okay. I could do it before. I can still do this." Yeah, don't kid yourself. You could regret that.
Yeah, that's interesting that you bring that up. Let me change my sound. It's interesting that you bring that up. Um, when I was when even up to a couple of years ago, the big thing was no pain, no gain,
Oh, yep.
right? Well, now it's have pain, have gain, and let's see, no pain, no gain, and it's gain with no pain. So they're telling you don't do this till you hurt. I mean, when I tell people to do exercises that strengthen their legs, if it hurts, stop. Just go back and do it slower. Give your body a chance to adjust.
Hmm.
Well,
Like there's a difference between it should challenge you and it should hurt you. Those are not the same.
no, that's true. That's absolutely true. And you don't want to do things that are in the end going to make you that are going to be counterproductive.
Right.
Your daughter can do more than you,
Yep.
right?
She sure can.
And you can do more than me. it's just biology. And you really have to look at that and be realistic. I mean, I know there's a guy on TV. I know um, he was in his 90s and he ran um, a marathon
Wow.
and he finished. Well, he hadn't run. He had run the half marathons and he did like 8 of those, and he was getting ready to run the 26 miles. Well, when I see people like that, my thought is that they did a lot to protect their bodies while they were getting older. There's a guy who wrote in and said, at what age should I give up strengthening exercise for muscle building exercise? And I said, don't give it up. You're doing what you need to do and don't stop. What you're doing is going to take care of you. It's when you haven't done anything for a number of years and then you're going to go in and you're going to work out. That's not good. That really isn't good, because you don't know what the inside of your body looks like, and that's why if you start slow and you have a trainer there,
Mm.
somebody who can watch you. I mean, these are all things that when I was 40 years old, I never thought about, but I think about them now.
Oh, I I hear that. I know things change, and I'm a testament to that this year because I've been a water skier all these years, and water skiing it's seasonal, so you're not doing it all year. You have time off from that, and last season I started having some physical issues that were causing me a whole lot of pain, and some of it kept me in pain through a lot of the winter, and it's still goofy enough. Like, I'm in a boat this year. I'm not gonna make it bad again.
You should have called. But here's the thing. There are things that you can do in the off years to keep your muscles functional. And muscles are important. Muscles are actually what helps your body control insulin.
All related, right? We're not a single thing. We have to be a full package deal.
I just got off of a seminar, and that was their thing. They were talking about women and hormones and the
Hmm.
kinds of things that happen as they get older. And you it's the way that I've been doing my practice since 1985. I go back to the point where you fell off the wagon, and then we start from there and go forward. Not the first thing that went bad, but where you fell off I mean, where and all of a sudden you were awake, you couldn't sleep. So we'll go back to that point and then fix it. And the point he was making is the point I make all the time, and that is the first thing you got to do is fix your gut. Because if your gut isn't working, you're not absorbing anything. You're not absorbing food. So it doesn't make any difference whether you're on a diet or not. Most people are on a diet and they don't do well. Then they exercise and they say do more, and nothing works. Well, that's because you don't have the raw materials inside of the factory for the workers to use. And I like to use a couple of them. You're building a house, and at night the cleaning crew comes in, and you got to make sure they have all of the little things because at night is when you're really doing your cleaning.
Hmm.
The other thing is our body is this huge chemical factory. It's huge. 57 trillion cells, give or take. Huge. They all require nutrients of some kind.
Hmm.
Your body can make some, but you got to put the food along with the vitamins and the minerals in so your body has the raw materials.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to get you got to get the waste out because that's why people get sick. They don't get rid of it. And I'm not talking just about poop. I'm talking about cellular waste. And then you end up with what they call zombie cells. And when they build up enough, that's when you get a little demented, little, you start getting sick, blood sugar goes up, you're tired, maybe you end up with a heart condition. It all stems from your body not cleaning itself out.
Well, I hear people talk about doing like a detox or that. What is an appropriate way to help your body? Because there's a lot of different crazy things out there that I gotta say I don't I don't subscribe to a lot of the stuff I've heard about.
Um, One of the things that people who detoxify, when you go to somebody and they put you on that plan,
Mm-hmm.
if your gut's not open, you're going to get sick. See, one of the things that happens, I found this out when I was working with magnetics. There are people who, when thunderstorms come along, whatever it is that bothers them shows up, like headaches, diarrhea. It has to do with the energy
Mm-hmm.
because the negative energy is pushing the stuff out and it's got no place to go. So when you do a detox with somebody, you can go and do a liver detox and that's great. But if your gut's not open and flowing out the way it should, the chemicals or whatever it is that they're getting rid of has no place to go. So it gets reabsorbed back in your liver as fat.
Gotcha. So
So,
it's not doing what it's supposed to.
well, and if you eat the right kinds of foods, you'll be okay. Now, as you get older, you don't have when you hit 50, your metabolism changes.
Hmm?
And each year adds a little more of a different change. You hit about 50, and because your body has a battery, you're not going to notice it right away. But at some point, you're going to notice it. What you want to do is you want to be able to not have that point. That you're doing the exercise, you're eating the right foods, you're replacing the minerals that need to be replaced and the vitamins like B vitamins. I mean, your whole body works on B vitamins, and and they don't make them, so you have to take them. And then you might have a genetic problem that they call MTHFR, I think so. Anyway, you have to take a different way that the vitamins are made. Okay. And you won't know that. And that's the problem. People take vitamins and they don't know whether they're working or not. But you can tell by the history. I mean, I have somebody come in and they tell me all this stuff they take. I said, "You're not better." No, well, obviously that's not the way to work. Now, we need to go back and see what they were taking
Mm-hmm.
or what else was going on because they may have had a lot of stress in their life. Maybe they had a job that was exposing them to radiation. And I'm not talking about X-ray. I'm talking about just the radiation that's out there in the world. Heavy metals. They're just
Mm-hmm.
taking in a lot of things that are causing pulls on the energy, depleting their energy. So yeah, I mean, if you're young, you're aging young. You're young to me. If you're young, You
I'll
want to
take
do
it.
you want to do a liver detox? Go ahead. Go for it. And that's the amazing thing about the human body. You can do a lot to it, it'll come back because it has that mechanism to be healthy. But the more junk that you have inside of your body that hasn't gotten out, then the more likely it is that you're going to be getting sick from doing those things.
Once upon a time, I knew somebody who did some kind of I'm trying to remember if detox was the word. I think there was some other word they used that was like through their feet. And I remember there being, I forget what it was that they had in there was
Ca-
some
Castor
bucket of
oil,
liquid.
castor oil.
Okay.
Um, just
I
did that. It's
can't think of
it's
what.
uh, it's castor oil. I think magnesium sulfate, and there's one other one. I'll think of it in a minute because it opens up the pores and pulls everything out. And what it does is you really have to do it. The way you should do it is you should heat a towel, put the castor oil on the towel, put the towel on your foot, wrap your foot in cellophane, pull a sock over it.
Hmm.
Um, and then the idea is that gravity takes everything down to your feet, and you don't have enough power in your lymph system and in your blood system to pump it back up. So it festers there, and that works for some people.
Hmm.
Everything out there works for some people. I'm trying to think of what the third thing was that we put into it. I have it written down. But the castor oil actually opened up the pores and just let all the stuff out. It kind of
Okay.
drew it up. And we've been here on Earth a very long time,
Mm-hmm.
several hundred thousands of years. But if we just go back 5,000 years, people got sick 5,000 years ago. And there were healers around that made them better. And they didn't have Excedrin or,
Right.
I mean, they had to use what was there. And that started out with the Egyptians and the Greeks, you know. And when you talk to people, our vet, he was wonderful. His mother, I'm sorry, his grandmother was a shaman for the Cherokee Nation.
Oh, wow.
And he spent a lot of time with his mother. And he was treating animals like that because God forbid you couldn't treat humans that way. And that's why I have so much respect for people who have that knowledge, far more knowledge than me. And those are the kinds of people who can help you if you're stuck someplace. So if a Chinese doctor does this little testing and gives you a little uh, herb or something like that, he does it because it's based on 5,000 years of his training and that it works. When an allopathic doctor gives you a medicine, he's giving you his best guess. Truthfully,
Mhm.
it is his best guess. Um, and we want to see people be healthy.
Right.
I mean, I went to doctor school to make people healthy. That's always been my plan. Somehow not everybody agreed with that, but you
It's
know.
funny. I've got a friend who has some unique health issues and she's done enough figuring out she's had good doctors along the way, but she's also had some bad ones that just, look at the surface and prescribe, prescribe, prescribe. And she's like, nope, she's a little more complicated. She already knows things like her with her thyroid that there's the T4 and T3, and if she's one that she needs both, she can't just prescribe her the normal thing because it's not going to work. And there's things that have been figured out with her, and it's just been very interesting. She shares a lot of those medical details because she knows I like the science of things, and she has struggled to find doctors that will work with her because she'll be with somebody who gets it and is big picture, and then they retire, and then she's stuck again, like, where do I go? Because it's hard to find somebody who understands everything big picture when you've got somebody who's got these unique pieces.
Who understands the way the body works.
Yeah, it's
Right.
not just okay, here's your symptom, here's your drug, here's your symptom, here's your drug. And I'm sad that that's how doctors get trained these days. Is there's a drug for that. We'll fix you. You know.
I bet that is starting to change a little.
I'm glad for that.
But you have to understand that doctors are regulated. Medicine is probably the most regulated field out there now. And there's a couple of reasons why they do that. But basically, if they don't prescribe pharmaceuticals and they do too much out on what we call this not functional but alternative, they're going to get visited by the state. And they're not going to put their license at risk. I don't blame them. And the state will let you do a little. But boy, I'll tell you, if somebody complains, and usually the people who complain are other practitioners. And well, I've had my ups and downs. But in the end, my belief was that it was better to get people well.
Right.
That's why we're here.
That's
And
the whole point.
and we don't get people well treating symptoms because we don't know what the symptom represents. And I learned that when I was trained as a psychotherapist, psychologist. I learned that we would have somebody come in and you could open up the DSM. Back then I think it was 3. I'm up to 5 now. And you could throw a dart and you could find somebody to fit that. I remember a professor I had said, if you consistently apply the principles and facts of a theory of personality to a person's behavior, you will produce the facts. You will produce the facts that prove that theory in that person's behavior, which means fit in any of them.
Yeah.
So, and the same thing I think with medicine, they only have 7 minutes. They only have 7 minutes. So they're not designed to take a lot of time to ask you questions. And people come out and that's what they write their questions down. And now they say, take somebody with you who can remember what went on. And that's not a way to be with people. I mean, it just isn't. And that's why they're actually in one of the last newsletters I got from a place called MedPage. People are not trusting their doctors, their family practice doctors, like they used to, and the doctors have noticed it. And I'll tell you, when you have to take people and reduce them to a number, to a unit, all kinds of bad things are going to happen. We know that.
Hmm.
All kinds of bad things are going to happen. So,
I think back when, gosh, I don't even remember now how old Kurt would have been. He would have been probably 30-ish, in right around 30, that he actually was dealing with cardiomyopathy, and he got misdiagnosed twice before the third guy finally figured it out. Because, with his age, nobody thinks heart. He's shows up with shortness of breath, and he's got symptoms that, okay, well, first guy's like, you got asthma. And these are emergency room visits that
oh,
we had. And
yeah.
we're like, okay, so he got prescribed stuff for asthma, and that didn't help, obviously. And then the next guy is like, oh, well, you're having a panic attack. That was the next. So went down that road, and it wasn't until the third time that we brought, and at the time, he and I are both EMTs, and we're like, this is not. We didn't agree, but at the same time, what are we supposed to do? That's what the doctor said. And it turned out it was the third time that we went in, and it just so happened the doctor that was on duty that day, it was our medical control doctor that he knew, he didn't know us, but he at least knew a little bit of us because we've interacted because of our EMT background. And he's like, this is not adding up. This is not right. We're sending you for a stress test.
The
And it's
the
like,
the, sec,
okay,
the second guy should have figured that out.
should have. Yeah, instead
Right.
in the whole thing, I remember he ended up being allergic then to whatever it was that they gave him for the panic attack. So he not only was having a panic attack, now he's having an allergic reaction on top of it. That was a mess. But they sent him home and didn't figure it out. And so finally, thank goodness they figured it out. But that's that whole thing. You're right. You can't just treat that one symptom and be like, oh, here's your answer, because there's more. You gotta look. You gotta figure out what's underneath.
Well, you gotta let the person tell you a story. I'm sure
Yes.
there was more than short of breath.
Yep. Because it took enough for us to be like, yeah, we gotta get you to the hospital. This is not right. What's going on is not okay. There's more. It's like we're not just we're getting worried about a nothing here. There was something going on. And yeah, they didn't listen to what was happening.
I think that was also uh, the protocol back in those days. And again, if I saw somebody who was 30 years old for the first time and they were short of breath, I would think there was a problem with his heart. The same way as if a person came in and they had the mother of all headaches, I wouldn't think they had a brain tumor. But if you listen strong enough, they're getting close enough, they'll tell you other things that are going on
Right.
that shouldn't be there. It
Yeah.
isn't, it isn't just a headadeche. So,
Mm.
and I was thinking when I fell over my son's the second dog, and I fell and I whacked my head. And we went to the a doc, and I said, just I don't want to go to the hospital, just fix this. And I walk in, and they go, "Oh, you can go right in." And then I tell them how old I am, and they go, "We can't treat you. You have to go to the hospital." Because that's the protocol. If you're over 70 years old now and you have a head injury, and this wasn't a head injury, it was a cut, right? I know what a head injury is. It was a
Right.
cut. You got to go to the hospital. So I said, okay, I'll go to the hospital.
Mm.
Um, Luckily, my nephew was there. He's a doctor. So yeah, I mean that helps. But they
Mm-hmm.
take me in, and they keep you there for 4 hours. They did a CT scan. I said, I don't have a head injury. And they came back and said, you don't have a head injury. But they sold the cut up. But I mean, they're doing that now. They used to do that. And they're actually being more aware of things that can go bad down the road.
Mm.
And I remember a case that I had. There was a kid who was he was in law school at SMU. He was a senior at SMU, and he got accepted to law school. His father was a lawyer, his mother was a social worker, and he was in a car. And we used to have these antiquated signals to get on the highway. They were controlling traffic, and you couldn't go when it was red. You had to wait till it was green.
Mm-hmm.
And the car in front of him was stuck. He had somebody else in his car, and he turned to get out of the car. So his head was turned almost perpendicular to his body. His body was still more or less forward, and he was turning to get out of the car. And he got whacked by a pickup truck. And he kept saying he was fine, he was fine. He's lucky that he lived next door to an orthopedic surgeon, because when he went south, they had to get a helicopter. He had a head injury. He had a bleed, but you wouldn't
Wow.
know it. I mean, he stopped walking around. Things are, you know, that happens to people. This kid was fortunate. The other thing that happened to him is his IQ went from 140 to 115. And the lawyer asked me, well, isn't 115 above average? Yeah, it is, but not if your previous one was 140.
Big difference.
Right.
Oh my goodness. That's a change in quality of life there.
Well, not only that, he actually ended up getting a lot of the behavior problems that frontal lobe people get when because his brain did this, and it just went right across the eyes, the bones over the eyes. And I mean, he ended up bringing women home to his parents' house. He ended up becoming an alcoholic. Yeah, I mean, those
Oh,
things can happen. I saw a few people like that.
wow.
I mean that, and he wasn't going to be a lawyer. Well, I don't know. Maybe he could if he was smart enough. But when you get all of those problems compounded, it really affects the person's quality. It affects their life,
Mm.
what they're able to do. And so normally, if you had an IQ of 140, you're going to come out of the head injury with more than somebody who has an IQ of 100 or 120. But this kid, I mean, this was really, I felt sorry for this kid because he was just trying to help. And, there's somebody banging into him. So these all have consequences.
Mm.
You know, I would have been upset had he didn't go to the emergency room. He just went home. And
Sometimes
and
even
and
the
it,
adrenaline of what's going on covers up what's actually
it
happening.
does. It was in his 20s. I can rule the world.
Uh-huh.
I'm invincible. And like I said, about 4 hours later, which is why they keep you for 4 hours, and they keep checking to make sure that you may not have had a bleed when you did the CT scan, but you may develop one. And that they're looking for that, and they do it to save lives. So they are doing things differently now. Um, what was the protocol when you were an EMT for a head
See,
injury?
wow. Going back a ways now. Our whole thing was to get them in. If there's anything head, neck related, it's automatic seat collar, backboard, all the you just assume the worst always, because then
That's still true.
so that we never could take anything back off. We were not
No.
qualified. We were not cleared. It's like once it goes on, it stays on. Somebody else has to do anything beyond that to remove anything. But yeah, that was always, you go through the whole thing of check your eyes, check your extremities, uh, all the circulation. I'm trying to remember all the things now. Kurt can rattle those off. He's good with all the acronyms back in the day of being able to uh, do all the things that you check. We haven't been
What?
EMTs since our daughter was born, and she's going to be a senior in high school. So it's been a couple of years.
Well, but the human body hasn't changed.
Right.
Has what was the protocol when you dealt with little babies?
Ooh. As far as for which.
Well, I'll tell you. I used to do shaken infant cases,
Oh. Yep.
and the ones that I did, they were for the kids who weren't guilty. They didn't do it. It was a hospital misdiagnosed. Uh, I was into a lot of. I don't like doing those cases because they're criminal cases, and unless you're a defense lawyer, you don't understand that getting murder 3 is better than murder 1 because you're only going to be in jail for 3 years rather than 15. And the kid didn't do it. Anyway, there was a case where there was a little baby, and the little baby went into respiratory distress or something like that. And the paramedics came, and he wasn't the dad, he was the paramour of the woman. He was a paramedic, and he just sat and watched. He didn't touch anything. And the paramedic picked the kid up and took him out into the ambulance, little kid. And the next thing you know is they're arresting this guy. And I had to do a lot of investigating. That how are you doing CPR on a little baby?
Right.
And if you don't know how to do that, you if you create the blood pressure, you raise the blood pressure high enough, you're going to cause the retinal hemorrhages. And when the case came, we couldn't find the paramedic. He was gone. Nobody knew where he went. We never found his sheet.
Wow.
And I hope with the experts that I got, that they'll let the case go. So yeah, I've seen both sides of this, and I try to put myself in a situation that would be good. That would be I want somebody to do that for me. People ask me, why do you do this? I said, well, I'd like to think that if I got in that trouble, there'd be somebody like me who would do that for me.
Right.
Right.
Oh, I do see we've got somebody joining us here. Corey, whenever you're ready to come on in, just let us know. I'm having all sorts of flashbacks here to EMT days and things that we used to get trained on all the time, and oh my goodness.
And things you didn't want to see, right?
There's that whole thing of once you see stuff you can't unsee. It's in there, and that's where I think in general people don't appreciate enough what what emergency personnel and fight, whether it's your EMTs, your firefighters, your police department, emergency room, all of those folks, what their role is and what things that they do. And I'll extend that over to thinking military. We do a lot with Project Die Hard and what our military folks have been through and have seen. And
If they've seen combat, you don't want to see the stuff they've seen.
No, you don't. And I think we in general take for granted too much what others do for us and on our behalf and all the things.
And people don't realize what these automatic weapons do, what the bullet does when it goes through your body. I mean, it can blow your head off.
Yeah. It's not like you see in the movies. I mean, some of it
No.
can be, but that is not. Yeah. A movie is a glorified version of stuff.
It's not the real thing because when you see the real thing, you'll have a visceral reaction.
Right.
And you always have to be, do I really want to see this? Is this what I want to do with my life? And I admire people who can do that. I mean, I would get visibly upset. I get visibly upset when I see little kids getting mistreated. Whoever does it.
I'm just seeing a note here that
Yes.
Corey's here to watch and listen today. All good. So you're welcome to be here. If you ever decide you want to say anything, you're welcome to it. That's what we're very much open house style here, and the more the merrier, but also happy to have folks just come on in and support from that direction too. It's all good.
So what's going on in Minnesota for the 4th of July? I'm Wisconsin for the 4th of July. I'm sorry, Wisconsin.
Ooh, actually this year we've got some extra special things happening. I happened to grab our program book for our ski club. There's a page in, actually, I don't know where the page is, but let me pull up one of our pages here because it is advertising for us part of our 4th of July fun. So as a ski club, we always have our parade on 4th of July in Pewaukee and put on a ski show. One added thing we have this year is we are, for our military combat wounded veterans, we're doing an adaptive water skiing event. So first time ever, being it's our 250th anniversary year for signing of the Declaration of Independence. That is something that one of our members decided to take on. He's actually a good friend of ours. We've known him for a long time. He's the one that got us into the fire department in the first place. Because just a real quick story. There was a day that Kurt happened to be wearing a ski club shirt, and this friend, his name is John. John is part of the Richfield Fire Department. Kurt's dad was at the time president of the Richfield Lions Club, and the Lions Club and the fire department were doing a thing. They built a memorial. I don't even remember now what the whole story was of this thing that they built, but Kurt's dad was the MC for this event. We were there. We lived in Richfield at the time, and we were there and enjoying this big event going on. And there was some social time afterwards. And John happened to see that Kurt's wearing the ski club shirt, sparked up a conversation because John was in a ski club way back in the day up north. Before the whole thing was done, there was a handshake that happened that said, well, you join the ski club, I'll join the fire department, kind of a conversation. And that's how we joined the fire department. Actually, that's how he did. And then it turned out he was going to take an EMT class first. And the conversation went, and I was like, well, if he's taking the class, maybe I should do it too. I didn't have any aspirations of being an EMT. Like, I'm going to do what? Okay, yeah, let's go. So we both took the class, and it led to 10 years of us serving on fire departments as EMTs. And
I think that's wonderful.
Yeah,
I do.
It takes a conversation. Things that you never thought of, like, And so glad that happened. So glad we had that experience. The whole thing of you can't unsee things, but there's on the flip side, the number of things that were so good that happened along the way. The people we met, the people we got to help, got to be in that position, the right place at the right time to be the helper that was needed. There all sorts of things happen with that. And
That's a lot of gratitude for that, and a lot of really good feelings.
oh yeah. Oh yeah. We really, I think back even with the patients that we got to talk to along the way. One guy in particular, I remember that we had him in the ambulance with us, he and his wife both, because they had a house fire and they're in the middle of losing everything. And I was in the rig with them, and he made the comment. He's like, "Oh, well, you might want to tell the guys I have all my ammo in the front room, just in case the fire's going there." And I'm like, "Hold on, quick, go tell somebody like." Be aware. And then he didn't want to go to the hospital. He's like, he can't leave. He can't leave. It's like his wife had inhaled a heck of a lot of smoke. It's like, we really gotta go. And it, I just remember sitting there with both of them. And I remember at one point, as I'm talking to him, he finally like he relaxed a moment. He whacked the bill of my hat. I remember this. I'm wearing a baseball cap, and he whacked it. He's like, okay, let's go. And he finally was like, I get it, let's go. Because she needed to go in. She was coughing. She was not, she inhaled stuff that she needed some help. And he finally said, okay, let's go. And I still remember it's like, I don't know what it was that I said at that moment. I don't remember what happened, but it was that whole thing of that made a difference at that time. We got them in, they got the help they needed. But it's like I almost get goosebumps as I'm thinking back on folks that just goofy things that happen along the way that we were at the right place, the right time to be the voice they needed. I
It
can't
usually work.
imagine my house burning down. What's all going through your head at that moment? Sorry, go ahead.
No, I mean, I think that's probably the worst thing that can happen to a person is a fire.
Yeah, you're losing everything, all the unknowns.
And whatever the fire doesn't ruin, the water will. So,
Right. And that scary moment of that was a middle of the night deal. How did they wake up? And I actually that well, I'll add to the story too. He shared the part of when he ran out of the house, he was knocking on, I don't know if the neighbors were there. Neighbors had to give him clothes. He's like, I'm not wearing stuff when I go to bed. Somebody had to give him clothing. He's literally running naked out of his house. It's like, oh my gosh, can you imagine
yeah.
the vulnerable moment that you're in the middle of there? Like everything, his whole world just flipped.
And
Oh,
it makes you feel for people like that when they lose everything. And
mhm.
I feel for these people when you had the tornadoes come through, not last night, but the night before, and there was a lot of damage.
Yeah.
And it's just like you stand there and you go, what do I do first? I mean, because we have that down here every year, and we've been really fortunate in the 50 years that we've lived here. Um, we had one incident, and it was a bolt of lightning, and it was about 8 o'clock in the morning. A bolt of lightning actually came down between our house and the neighbor's house,
Whew.
and and that was it. And then about 20 minutes later, I went into the bathroom and I could smell something burning.
Oh no.
We called the fire department, and what it was is there was a 220 line that was in a conduit outside that ran into my steam unit. And what they think is the blast actually melted some of the plastic on the wiring, the bolted lightning. But we've been really lucky, and you know there's no insurance for that. Well,
Of course not. Oh,
no, I
yeah, and
mean there can be, uh, but that'll happen.
yeah. Listen, one thing when I think back to EMT time too, one thing I do remember being drilled in our heads that made a difference for me when I would go somewhere on the ambulance, it's like we always had to keep it in perspective. It's not your emergency, it's their emergency. You're there to help them. So it's that whole thing of, those first few calls that you go on, so it's a little nerve-wracking, right? You're not used to this yet. And it's like, nope, keep it in perspective. You're there to help them. They've got an emergency and you are their help. It's your time.
And that person may not have been yours to help. People die.
People do die.
Right.
And yep,
And all you can do is the best that you can do at the time and pray for the rest.
exactly.
Right.
Yeah, that's a hard one to accept. That's the doctors are dealing with a lot of that throughout their career. Whew, that's just part of it. And I think when kiddos are thinking, I want to be a doctor someday, I don't know that they think about that part that, oh yeah, that it's part of it. Sorry.
Yeah, it was like me. I wanted to be a chef and I thought I was going to be Emerald. No, no. You start there at the bottom. And I mean, I did it for 5 days and then switched because it was really hard work. Um, but, that's the price you pay. If whatever you go into, there's always dues that you have to pay before you can call yourself such and such, or before you can become such and such. And it's actually for your benefit and society's benefit. Although
For
most
sure.
people don't see that. Keeps you
Yeah.
from getting sued. At least in the medical health, it does that. So I'm glad. I got to ask you.
Yes.
Your water can't be very warm. I mean, it must be
Um,
about 45, 50 degrees.
Actually, on Pewaukee Lake, I was told it's somewhere in upper 60s at this point.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, our end of the lake, it does get warm. By the time August hits, it's not even always refreshing getting in because it can get toasty. It's a shallow end. The other end, it doesn't quite get that warm. But yeah, Pewaukee Lake is not bad. If you're talking like Lake Michigan, what the Great Lakes, yeah, those they don't warm up. Those are just always cold. But where we ski, where we usually ski at least, it's getting better.
You don't
And
you
I
don't
haven't
have
been
to
in the water yet, so I can't even complain.
you don't have to wear a wetsuit.
Oh, we do. Not for shows. So that's where it's kind of an interesting mix. Here, I got my book here. I can share pictures. We have our guys wear. I need a good picture that you'll be able to see well. The guys that are basing, the guys that are on skis and they've got like pyramids, things that are going up above them, they will wear a wetsuit. Um, so
Uh-huh.
they've got a full wetsuit on, and the girls, however, are wearing costumes. So the guys, when it's cold out, are happy they've got their big old wetsuit on. The girls, I mean, they do have flotation. We wear something called a Flomo, which it's got flotation. It's a vest, but it's not a Coast Guard approved flotation device. So it's something that works for this specific use, but not something that you could wear just on a regular boating day. It's literally something that's allowed for what we do. So the girls have a costume and a Flomo. So girls sometimes get really cold early in the season. However, when it gets to be August, the guys are dying wearing the big, big flotation stuff that they've got on, and then the girls are quite happy. So it varies during time of year. So as far as how that all works for practice, anything goes. For practice, you don't necessarily have to wear that stuff. The guys are still going to wear some kind of flotation because there are rules in place for if girls are going up high, they have to have the Flomo on. If you're doing something where you're just on skis, there's a little more forgiveness on that rule. But if you're doing anything up high, there's no getting out of that. You're going to wear some kind of flotation.
My great nephew came here. He was here over Christmas, and he was going to go in our pool. He said, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna jump in your pool." I said, "Are you really? Yeah, I want to see this." About 45 degrees but he jumped in there. He was happy.
Mm.
You know, when when the nieces and the nephews and the grandkids, when they would come over, and in May and June, they just jump right in.
Mm.
My body doesn't work that well.
But me too. It's too hard to get warmed back up. I know a lot of people are happy to just hop into whatever, and yeah, I would not be in that category. I gotta say, when I first started in the ski club when I was in my 20s, it was easier to do that. Nowadays, I just can't. That's
Well, again, because you're not producing you don't have enough energy
hmm
to keep that going. It's a big stress because your body's going to do whatever it is to maintain that 97 to 99 range of temperature. It is. Well, I think Marianne is here. I'm going to leave you in her hands. I've been staying on to help you out.
Oh, all good. If you gotta go, that's all good. It's been a pleasure having this conversation with you.
I enjoy it. I enjoy talking with you. I enjoy you and Kurt. Like I said, I think if Kurt keeps us up, he's got a really big future in radio.
Love it. Well,
All
we
right.
got to remind everybody you've got your podcast on Thursdays you want to go ahead and just share real quick what that is?
It's for the health of it, and it's on the second and the fourth Thursday. And for this Thursday coming up, this may be the one that's in June. I think we're going to be doing it on sleep. I
Ooh,
was talking with a young lady yesterday. No, sleep is going to be the first one in July.
excellent.
So
That's a big topic.
it is, and we got to get there because the whole world. If people could get to sleep, we do a whole lot more being mellow.
Awesome. All right. Well, that was Dr. Harvey Loomstein. He has his shows on the second and fourth Thursday of the month at 11 a.m. Central. He's been a longtime friend, longtime supporter of all the things going on here with World of Ability, and such a nice way to be able to share and learn more. I always learn when I'm with him, and that's part of World of Ability, sharing out all the good that's going on out there, and being able to connect the dots on health. And here, I'm gonna actually bring this back up again because we uh, at the very beginning I was mentioning the different shows that we have, and that's just one of many. The number of topics that we have it's vast. It's very different based on who we're all talking about here. Because like blue collar crypto, it's not just about crypto kind of topics. It truly is blue collar worker topics. It spans the the whole concept of making money and investing perhaps in a little bit with crypto, and it's kind of a wide net, so don't be fooled by the title. It's definitely something that is a little bit for everyone there. I already touched a little bit on Project Die Hard Mission Monday update and all those updates with what's going on within Project Die Hard and our veteran community. On Tuesdays, we've got the Aspie Bridge podcast. Aspie Bridge. So Suzanne is a woman who was diagnosed with Asperger's as an adult, and she has realized that the communication between those that have Asperger's and those that don't, that there's a way to bridge that gap that she had encountered in her life. And she is all about bridge builders and being able to connect with others and and to bridge that again, that gap between things that are differences, and she looks for those similarities and being able to connect people that way. And what she does with the Ask Me Bridge podcast and the guests that she brings on, fantastic. So that is something I highly encourage folks to tune into. World of Water podcast with Mark Miller. I believe he's still actually taking a brief hiatus with his show. He's had other things going on in his corner of the world, but there are a bunch of episodes existing now on YouTube with what he's doing. World of Pets podcast with Debbie Hayes. That's been ongoing actually for a long time now. She has some others that come in and host either with her or for her, and that show has gone, oh my gosh, to another level actually, with what she's done to partner up with Bree Campano. I believe I'm saying her last name correctly. So that's definitely one that if you have a pet, you will find. Actually, we've got several shows now that are pet related, and there's a lot of value in that. The Pet Powered podcast, that one is a newer show that with another gentleman named Tim Miller. Tim, do I have that right? I believe it's Tim Miller. I don't have a lot of info in front of me on him, but he's got a product actually he sells that is. Oh, I'm trying to think here how to describe this. A water unit for your pets. We've got a dog, and you know how often I have to refill her bowl? Dogs drink a lot of water, and it makes a mess. He's got a solution for that. And not just for that. That's just one thing he does, is the solution he has for water for your pets. He does a lot more, and that's where Pet Powered Podcast is something that any pet owner would value, what information they are all sharing. On Wednesday nights, back to my corner of the world, Ability MKE Now is a show that I host live on River West Radio. We are here on Zoom, and River West comes on with us, and then they broadcast out. Literally, we are live for 29 minutes every Wednesday night from 7:30 to 7:59 p.m. And it's all about ability related. I think there's a bit of a theme here with all the things here. We're world of ability, right? So celebrating the ability in all of us is what we do. And we are privileged to be able to highlight so many wonderful people along the way with that. And then right after, we also have Ability MKE Now. And with that, that is, I just said Ability MKE, TDC Today Show Communities. You know, there's a change going on there with that one. And before I go down the road of that, I see we've got another friend joining us. John Kennedy's here. John, welcome. How are you doing?
It's good. It's a good day to be in. It's about 102 degrees here in Las Vegas.
Oh,
good to be in.
A little toastier by you than it is by me.
Oh, yeah.
Believe it or not, I know it's like 80 something outside where we are, which is lovely. I've got my setup for where I do our shows in the basement, but I think for next week I'm gonna uproot what I'm doing, because I'm in the basement where it's nice and chilly cold with a blanket, and I'm kicking myself for not reshuffling things and setting up outside. So if the weather cooperates next week, I will be outside enjoying.
There you go. There you go.
So what's all happening in what's news in your corner of the world?
Moving along, obviously, just keep going. Have some requests to put into proposals to the Cubs and the Miami Dolphins, so that could be interesting.
That's awesome.
Just finished certifying some Aerosmith practitioners. I don't know if you're familiar with Aerosmith, but it's one of the very first neuroplasticity type programs. It's developed like 35 years ago. So they love it. So that's going to be good. And then working right now on the paperwork for a potential investor who may want to help. Because my problem is I don't have enough trainers or salespeople to help everybody, because I can help everybody. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully I can report some good news on that in a few weeks.
That's
And
exciting.
so, yeah, always something going on, right?
So, well, okay, and I'm going to back up then. So, for those who are seeing you for the first time, can you give us a little flavor of what it is that you're all introducing to these folks?
Sure. So the brain training program I developed originally from the Marines almost 20 years ago now. So Navy SEALs, snipers, pilots, people with different types of brain disorders. Back then, it was mostly wounds of war, recovering from trauma, and we've had great success with that. And now in the civilian sector, autism, ADHD, dementia, strokes. It's the only program of its kind in the world, which is why I love it, because I don't compete with anybody. And there's amazing other people that are helping the body and the brain. Now, mine just trains the brain to be faster and more focused by sometimes 10 to 20% in just an hour or two. So, because everything flows through our brain, everything we do, we get done better and faster. So, anyway, that's what I do. I love it. Everyone I work with is different. Everyone gets better, whatever they want to do. So I get better at. So yeah, I love it. Thanks. Thanks, Sue.
And that's amazing. So, if somebody's hearing this and they're like, "Wait, I need to know more." What do they do? How do they reach out to you? And what does that process look like for them?
Well, the best is to just go to my website, combatbraintraining.com. Don't forget the brain. Some people say combat training. I don't, help combat, teach combat. I help anybody perform better in combat because it was originally for the military, but we're all in combat of some sort, right? We've got struggles to overcome. We've got things to get done. Entrepreneurs have a lot of struggles. And so I help them all. So combatbraintraining.com. And then there'll be a link there. They can schedule oh, thank you for putting it up. Yeah, there's a link where they can schedule a time to meet with me. So I love to do that. I love to meet over Zoom, talk to people. They can always email me at john@combatbraintraining.com. There's a short video of who we help.
So
The
there's
website, by
20
the way, is
years
going to
working
be
there.
completely redone soon, but for now it's there. So
That's
yeah, probably
perfect.
the best way is just email me. I always like emails.
I love
So
it. So, and with the outreach that you're doing right now too, are you doing a lot of well, how are you connecting with folks? Is it through the networking
well,
organizations a bit, or what is your
yeah,
best way to connect these days?
a lot of networking. I don't do a lot of social media. Eventually that will change. I just mostly networking, amazing networking groups, people even here, meet amazing people. Because then there can be a one-on-one conversation, and I work with teams as well. I work with anybody all over the world via Zoom. So networking and a lot of referrals. And then lately, instead of just me working with people, as I mentioned, those two Aerosmith practitioners, I've started certifying other people who already work with people. So they already have a great program. I don't compete, but if they add my program to their existing program, one, they get all the benefits, like 6 hours of intense brain training for them. But then if they just add a few minutes of my program to their existing sessions, their clients, they're laughing, they're focused, they're engaged, and they're processing faster. So it's a great complement to whatever else they're doing. And that's a little different networking, right? Because that's networking with practitioners as opposed to networking with potential clients. So,
And is
but
there an ideal age range that you like to work with, or is this?
well, that's a very great question. My daughter was 5 when I developed this program for the Marine Corps, and so I wanted her to be able to do it. And that's what I've learned actually. That really the key to why my program is so powerful, and it's based on research from MIT at the time, is we give the brain something very simple to do that a 5-year-old can do, but the brain has to work really hard to do it. And when it does that, it rewire. But we don't do it. A lot of assessments are there to determine what you want to fix. We don't care. The brain does everything to do what we ask it to do. So I like to say simple enough for a 5-year-old and tough enough for a Navy SEAL. And anyone in between there, we can help. So, but yeah, I've certified families to work with their young kids. That's always been a lot of fun. So it's just very simple to do, but very powerful.
And that I find so exciting that it is that simple that a 5-year-old can participate,
Yeah.
can do this, and what a
Yeah.
difference. I love success stories. Do you have any recent people you've worked with that you want to share some stories on?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, on all ends of the spectrum. One on the high end of the spectrum, one of my clients is one of the top goalies in the world, so she just qualified for the World Cup again. So I would meet with her. It's kind of cool. I meet her in the morning, and then I could watch her play at night. So it's amazing. On the other end of the spectrum, a great testimonial we have now, verbal from a father of an autistic young man. So not really young, but he's 20s. But dad said after that one session, by the end of the day, he went from nonverbal to a chatterbox, sat down and watched 2 movies with his dad, which he'd never done before, and took away the invisible barrier that he had by his room. So autism, the central core, they think might be a filtering issue, but our brain helps the brain filter so much better. It allows them then to remove all those protections that they had. Summer with a young boy with ADHD, a lot of kids with ADHD, they're very bright. They just can't focus. And so he's a 10-year-old, was failing in school. His first session, he did really, really poorly. I've recorded really, really poorly. By the third session, his processing speed baseline that we use as a measure went from 3 minutes to 1 minute. He got his first day ever in school. And then a few weeks later, I was working with his grandmother for her dementia, because I work with dementia people as well. And she said at his birthday party, he found a book, sat down and read to her, and it never happened before. So what I like about this is like that family and like the autistic boy's family, it's not just the people that we help that are benefited, but their entire family. Their entire life changes. Their family's life improves. Everything changes. So that makes it very rewarding.
That's amazing. Well, actually, you got me thinking. I know Santa Papa John has been working to get into some assisted living homes and
Yes.
to be able to work with folks that way. I'm picturing you
Yeah.
guys are should both be
Yeah,
going
no,
after
I
similar
think
kind of.
I think we talked about that a little bit. So seniors love
Oh,
this. So I back in before I moved here in Chicago through our church, I volunteered at a lot of different senior centers. And the funniest thing is they absolutely love it because it's fast, it's engaging, they start laughing, and it really is helping, overcome and prevent early onset dementia. So senior care, I'll talk to Santa about that because it's and they love it. Well, I did a pilot a few years ago at a senior center in California, and it was the most popular program they ever had.
oh my goodness. That says so much right there too.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. I mean, instead of sitting around playing bridge, which nothing wrong with that, but when you do this program together, you laugh, you have fun, and you can really feel your brain changing to be better memory, better focus. I mean, great success with short-term memory with people. So all these things happen. And God just made our brains so amazingly changeable that with the right type of stimulation, those simple changes impact everything that we do.
wow. And, I don't know if I've asked, what got you started in this back when you first began down this road? What was it that got you started here?
So that's an interesting story. I'm not a neuroscientist, not a psychologist. That's not even my field, which some of my neuroscientists said is an advantage. One of the problem when you come at something from a research perspective, they have all these peer reviewed. Problem with peer reviewed research is it shuts out innovation. You can't just come up with something that works. And I was a consultant. I actually worked for the C-level of some big companies in Chicago, Aon, Motorola, AJ Gallagher. They bring me in to solve problems. And one of the problems they had me solve was projects that were out of control, how to get them back on track. So I had a very kind of proprietary way of examining the critical processes that the project relied on, improving them, pulling the team around and getting them done. I love doing that. And it was my brother actually who inspired me to do this. He came back from Iraq in 2006 and, improvised explosive devices are killing us. Can you help? And I thought, well, maybe God's given me an opportunity to help save lives instead of just helping businesses make more money. I talked my way into an event the Marines held every year at 29 Palms, California. And it was the whole purpose of this was to invite contractors from around the world, little guys like me, but also big guys like Honeywell and Boeing. And they exposed us over the course of a long weekend to as much about IEDs as possible. You know, they even scared the crap out of us. They blew stuff up near us. We trailed Marine guides around, simulated villages so we could understand all the stresses they were under. It was an incredible experience. And I'm a process guy, but I realized you can't train the Marines in process. They're all so process centric. But I was shaking hands with the base commander, General Doug Stone, on the last day. And I just had one of these God visions. Well, okay, so you can't improve their operational processes. What if you can improve their mental processes? Because if we can make their brain more efficient, we could create intuition, which is basically what saved lives. And General Stone gave me an opportunity, and it's probably one of the most meaningful experiences of my life. I embedded with a platoon of Marines for 3 months while we wanted to see if it would work. And of course, none of the psychologists, none of the neurologists, no one thought it was going to work. And but it was a full experiment. We had a control platoon of 40 guys randomly chosen. We had my guys, and I asked for the worst platoon in the battalion because if we could help anybody, we wanted to help these guys. Awesome guys. I got to embed with them for 3 months. One of my really, really special times. But they were really struggling. They'd lost 16 guys a cycle before from a helicopter crash and IED attacks. 3 guys had actually tried to commit suicide. They were just depression, post-traumatic stress, failing a lot of their pre-deployment objectives. So I embedded with them. I started experimenting with the different exercises, the neuroplasticity training exercises that are the core of what I do now. And 3 months later, now they were the best performing platoon in the battalion, one of the best ever to go to final pre-deployment training. Back at 29 Palms, when they deployed to Iraq, they got an area of operation 4 times the normal size. But that's what got the attention of the other forces. So that's what got the attention of the Marine Special Operation Commanders. So that's how I got into Navy SEALs, and then we got into pilots and ETTs and EOD and every really, really tough situation where decisions, you have to be able to make a decision unconsciously or you get blown up. So that was fun. But the other thing that was so rewarding is that they were all, most of them, not all, but suffering because they deployed several times. So they were suffering from trauma, post-traumatic stress. And those, the feedback from the guys around that was so powerful. And then it migrated to civilian sector, about 10 years ago, 15 years ago. And so now I get to work with, as I said, high performers like professional athletes, as well as people really struggling with all these different things. But any other general, any other event, anything else, this never would have happened. That God just lined everything up to make this happen.
Yeah, and that's how it's meant to be, and it is. I love stories like that because when things kind of come together, they had to be just right for it to end up where it ended up. But that's what happened. There's a reason. Oh,
well, it's interesting. So a friend of mine writes chapter books, and I'm writing a chapter in a book, and it's going to be called "Your Future is Behind You," because just what you said. If we look ahead, we have no idea where we're going to be. But when you look behind, you can see all these different events that seemed random at the time, but they all line up to get us to where we are now.
Yes, I'm feeling that one hard because I totally. I can't believe I'm sitting here doing what we do with the podcasting. It's like that was never something that was in my vision.
Right.
And,
Right.
If I go back far enough, Kurt and I were EMTs for a decit. I had no plan to be an EMT. That was,
Yeah.
there's things that fell into place. I was like,
Right.
that this is what we're doing. In hindsight, it's kind of a cool story how things all developed and where things went. And thank goodness we did the things we've done over all this time. But
No.
we're here because of water skiing. It's like, what? There's all sorts of things that come together in ways that you couldn't have put it together if you tried, right?
Right. Exactly. You can't figure it out. You just kind of keep moving forward. And that's the other thing too. The message I want to put in there is it's a book for entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs can get really discouraged if they look at how far they are from where they want to be. But if they turn around and look at how far they've come, it's so much more encouraging.
Yeah. Oh, I'm with you on that idea. And I work with a lot of college students. So my daytime gig, I'm at a college, and in the time between freshman year and senior year, or I should say graduation, they change a lot.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
the amount of growth that happens, both, not just the classroom stuff, but life. The number of times I've heard them say, why isn't there a class on how to be an adult? That kind of a thing. The amount of growth that takes place there.
Right,
There's a lot
right,
of life lessons that hit them in a short amount of time, and
right,
it's fun to see. They don't see it coming. They don't, you don't know what you don't know, right? So
right, right.
what.
Yeah, and that is such a, college is interesting because it's kind of like a dependent independence, right?
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
like,
yes.
right? It's not like, in high school you're totally dependent, and it's not after college where you're totally independent. You got to make something happen because college, you kind of have this protection around you while you have that opportunity to learn how to become independent. College students that just use it as 4 years of fun and they're not preparing themselves. I'm sure you're helping them do that, right? Preparing because
Trying.
this is the best time of their life to explore and to, experiment with different things because they're independent, but they're dependent, right? They're still in a protected zone.
Right. Yeah, it's a fun time. It actually, I love that I get to be in that place, because as much as the students that I get to know the most are the ones that I'm actually their supervisor. They have a job, they've got a job to do. I got to help them know all the things. But then
Right,
you also get that trusted relationship going on, and
right, right,
there's times where I end up with students in my office and we're talking life. We're not talking work. There's stuff going on, and they don't have family close by. I I remember one student too that she came and she's crying. She just had gotten the call that grandma died. I'm like, "Can I give you a hug?" And she finally just
yeah.
she just let go for a moment because she was just bawling. She needed somewhere to go, to be
Right.
able to have, oh, have your people around you, and
Yeah.
um
Yeah, they
there
have so much going on. I mean, so much pressure. And
yes.
so, thank you for what you're doing to help them. I know it means a lot.
And that's where the things that you do that you have out there, I hope people more and more are grabbing on, because
Yeah,
you are providing something that makes a difference for, we talk about making a difference for everybody and being for everybody, and what you
right.
do can make that difference for wherever somebody is at, to get them from where they are to a better place in a short amount of time.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, no, I'm sometimes blown away. By the way, I've done programs both at Southern St. Bonaventure University and also Southern Utah University, and to help the students. So we should talk about that sometime. They both love the program and help them a lot. But you're right. I mean, I think we're all here on Earth to help people in our own way, right?
Hmm.
You are, Marianne, everybody on this call, actually, we're here to help people. We just got to find that niche, right? And make sure we do our best.
Yeah, I agree completely, because that's part of what we are always doing, is finding where can we help. And somebody at one time had told me about, look for the helpers when there's big things going on, and you might be lost from them. It's like, look for the helpers. They're around. Those that can, and there's times where you're going to be the helper. You got to see where you're at, and I
Right.
mean, you've been in that position a lot, and and that's huge. We
Yeah.
need people like you that are there and able to
Well,
be in
and
that
you
spot.
too, and you too, and Harvey and Marianne and everybody. I mean, we're in these places that God put us here to help people. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, it's actually a little. So one of the things I feel sometimes actually is a little pressure, right? Because I know I can help people. Almost anybody I walk into, I can help them. It's almost like, okay, I got to do more. I got to find more people to help. So sometimes it's a little bit of a burden. Um, but I
Well,
just
and
have,
So say that's an interesting perspective because I until you have the conversation, you don't think about that side of it. It's like, oh my gosh, I can see where you're saying that, but I wouldn't have thought that, because you're
Yeah.
making the difference out there. Interesting. Yeah, we got to do more to bring people in front of what you offer and get you in that position so you can be doing this for more. So,
Right.
okay, so I'm thinking you were just mentioning about universities. So, can you tell me more about what you've done at the other universities?
Yeah. So the most recent was Southern Utah University, which is just north of me here, and I actually got in there because one of the administrators was reached out to me in tears because she needed help for
Oh,
her family. So that's how I got. So her daughter was struggling in school. Her husband had lost his job. Very poor processing. Even talking to him, you knew that he was struggling, and he was trying to sell cars. Hadn't sold a car in 6 weeks. Working at a used car place, and so I work with the whole family. And 3 weeks later, her husband's selling cars. Her daughters are getting better grades in school. And so she connected me to the administration at Southern Utah. So I went up there a couple of years ago now, and I had a blast. So whenever I work with people, I want to do as much good as I can. And if I'm there, they got my time. So they paid me to come give a speech, to like 1,000 people, and took them all through my program. They absolutely loved it. But while I was there, I trained the gymnastics team. They went on to win their first ever conference championship, and the coaches won Coach of the Year. I worked with a disabilities group. I worked with the Veterans Association. I donated a free event to the PTA, one of the local high school or elementary schools. So we had all the families there. They were doing that. I did some work with the local high schools because anybody can benefit. And so now I've they actually helped me, and I can actually should connect people to this. They had me develop a video course for their students, and they love it because it'll help them. And it's actually so now they're the only university in the country that has a brain training program free for their students. But now they gave me that ability. So actually, people reach out to me, I can send them a link. It's actually a basic brain training program video series. So they don't have to pay for my time, but they can still get the basic training in. So that was really cool. And then a few years ago, before that, I was St. Bonaventure University, and I met with like the different groups. I met with students, I met with vets, I met with the guidance counselors and so forth. And the feedback from the students was, and from the administrator who brought me in, that it was the best program they'd ever had for the students' emotional well-being, because they're under so much stress. So it's just a matter of getting out. That's why I'm certifying other people. This is me, right? I have one trainer back in Illinois who's amazing, Tim Stewart. And so that's why we're trying to certify more people. And if we can get the investor money, that's what it's going to be. It's going to be sales and training, develop a whole training company basically to get out and help more people.
Oh yeah, because we need to clone you.
Well, that would be the idea, right? If we can help you, we can help more people. So yeah, it's been a very interesting journey.
Yeah, we should have offline here, have a conversation about that and see if there's a connecting
Yeah,
point that I can make on our campus because they're always
yeah,
looking for ways, the different university sizes. Smaller universities have more of that personal touch with
right,
their students.
right,
And we have an entire office of student success, because there's students need help and they don't always
right.
recognize going in what that looks like. And they even have a way for, if an instructor sees that a student is struggling beyond, just, well, it could be in any way, really. They can send a note to the office and they will reach out and see what the student needs. And I don't know what any of that all looks like. That's not my area. But the fact that we have that and that makes such a difference, that is
Yeah,
something that I don't know if other universities are that proactive in that area or not. I'm not sure. But being that's one of the things that I love about where I am because they are proactive in making sure they want to
that's
help
good.
students be
Yeah,
where they need to be. And oh, because everybody's different. Everybody's showing up from a different place. They all
yes.
have their own needs that they need along the way.
And this, more recent generations, unfortunately, they had to go through that whole COVID shutdown, right? Where they
Yep.
couldn't engage with friends. They couldn't even, it all went online, which is the worst way. I mean, they spend their time game. I mean, you can go on to what that does to the brain
Mhm.
all you want, but they missed a lot of that relationship building support under stress that, and that carries with them, right?
Mhm.
So, yeah, there's so much that, again, thanks for what you're doing to help. It sounds like your university is really proactive in that area, which is important because that's the difference, right? So when they graduate, they're not going to remember their chemistry formulas, right? But they're going to remember everything else that they've learned, the relationships and the guidance and everything else that they've gotten.
Yeah, that sticks with a person. That's that whole thing of I'm not necessarily going to remember what you said, but I'm going to remember how you made me feel. That concept,
Right,
that's true.
right,
I mean,
exactly.
you gotta walk out with some of that knowledge. That's part of the process. But
Yeah.
I mean, the number of conversations I've had with folks on campus of, what's the real purpose of college is learning how to think, learning how to critically think. And you're not just there to be able to regurgitate all these facts and figures. High school was a lot of memorize, memorize, memorize. And it,
Right.
this takes it to that next level of, okay, yeah, you got to know all those things, but how are you using them? And that's where, with what you're doing, to be able
Yeah.
to make that a better process for folks. I'm
Well,
just like, how are you not in every university everywhere?
well, thank you.
Seriously.
Let's get there. I mean, I'd love to do that. And again, what I love about because it's about a year last year that I really started certifying others. So I can certify the counseling staff at a university. I can certify the trainers for the sports teams because all the sports teams do better. Um, so that would be what my goal is to get into university, build a foundation there and support it while they are able to help all the students. So.
Amazing. And so I'm going to ask then, what does that look like to certify a person? What kind of a time commitment is that? Because I can imagine that there's got to be a lot to it.
Well, the beauty of it is, and so this is actually, I've been using Claude to help me so
Ah,
all the time I'm working on this, what I found out is there's some amazing neuroscience research, Greinberger, Yoshi, some of the others, and the research supports what I've been able to observe in my clients. I mean, it is incredible for me when I work with someone and see how in less than an hour, they're getting to flow state, they're processing better, and all these things. Now we have, so I've been using Claude to put together some reports for this, to actually focused on different areas that people want to improve. And so what I've also learned from this is, I still do like executive brain coaching. Well, I work with clients for 90 days, once a week over 12, and we bring in other things too. I don't know if I mentioned before, but using the same principles I developed, I can help anybody change any habit in just 30 minutes instead of 30 days. And that all goes in. But what I like about the certification is we compress it down to it's only 6 hours of time commitment for the certification training. First session is 2 hours, and the other two are two each or four of one. And when I certify someone, they go through all the different variations, so all parts of the brain. And so they're doing amazing things an hour after we started each time because I want them to experience so they get the benefits. So now they're getting more done better, faster, and less stress. And then I help them integrate what they just learned into their existing coaching sessions or into their like a teacher, how to add 5 to 10 minutes at the beginning of class time. So it happens really fast. Those 6 hours can typically happen within 2 weeks. And then they're certified. And I provide ongoing support whenever they need it, which I kind of like doing because they have customized things. And I always offer to sit in on any sessions they do to make sure they're comfortable. But it can happen really fast. And which is, I think, is a good thing. It's good for the people I certify and good for me too, because we can get such great results so quickly.
yeah, you got my wheels turning.
Yeah. No, I'll send you some more information. We talked about this a long time ago, but it's completely
Yeah,
changed. The program's completely been updated and changed and customized. And I'll send you some information on that. And maybe we can
perfect.
brainstorm on that a little bit.
I would like that. Yeah. Cause that right now, actually, this is a good time of year for me to be looking more closely at this. I've got, I mean, we're in summertime now. So
Yes,
my,
right,
my responsibilities are different in summer than they are during the school year. School year is like,
right.
I can't even, there's so much. And right now is catch up time and planning time for what's upcoming. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, this is a good time for us to talk.
Oh, good, good. Well, let me send you some information, and there'll be a Zoom link on there, and we can meet and talk about it. I'd love to do that. Love to do that.
Awesome. That's perfect. Oh, so what kind of fun stuff are you doing this summer? Do you have time to sit back and actually have some fun, or are you all
No,
business all the time now?
this is pretty much fun for me. When I
Yeah.
work with people, that's fun. And um, so, yeah, that's basically it. I'll probably do a little bit of traveling. My brothers live in North Carolina, I've got cousins, I might go visit them. But I love what I do so much. It's fun, right? I mean, I'll never retire. I'll just do this as long as I can. And again, if we do get the investor money in, I'll be doing more traveling as well because we want to kind of set up different centers in different places. So I'm from Chicago, right? So probably the first. So my idea or goal in Chicago is to have an office with a conference room, so we can use it to certify other people. We can bring clients in to do the training, but because we help so many people, if we're in a high potential target environment, we can very quickly get out to help. Whether it's seniors or sports teams or whatever. So. And that's what's and I like to travel, right? So I'll be doing a lot of traveling, doing that. But right now for the summer, it's pretty much just, taking the time to build everything up and find better ways to help more people. So nothing fun, no vacation. Other maybe go see my brothers, but other than that, nothing planned. So how
Yeah,
about you? Are you guys doing anything this summer? Something for fun?
oh, it's water ski season. So it's
Oh,
ski
that's right.
shows once a week now. We're on the water now 3 nights a week. It's forever our club has been practice on Tuesdays, shows on Thursdays. They added a Monday night practice now so that people can work kind of hone in on some skill development because when you have the whole
Yeah.
team there on a Tuesday, you only get to try something once, maybe twice in a night. But now that we've added Mondays, there's going to be a lot of growth within individuals in the club. So that's going to
Yeah.
help the overall. It's going to be wonderful.
That's great. It's interesting. I haven't trained water skier before, but I have trained an Olympic team downhill skier, which I would think would be kind of the same in a lot of ways. She said she can ski much faster without falling because she can see the snow conditions further out. I would imagine that might apply to the water. I don't know, but her eyes and the snow are the same, right? But what's happened is because she's processing unconsciously in flow state now, her entire perspective is moving out ahead of where it was before.
Well, and
So,
as we're skiing, and if there's, oh my gosh, the whole, I'm as you're describing that, I'm picturing as here. I've got our program book here. Let me pop a picture up. As we have people doing things like, oh, of course, I'm not gonna have the right picture right away here.
so Emily's inviting me to come visit. Maybe if I get back to Chicago, I'll visit you guys up there.
So if you got a guy on skis with a girl up ahead, overhead, you got that kind of stuff going on, or building pyramids, or all of the things to see the water conditions coming up, or there's always a variety of things that make things change. We got people going over jumps. We got people going around,
Yeah,
boat 360
right.
all the way around the boat. We got girls holding the rope with their feet. We've got people making like a 4 high pyramid like
Wow.
this. There's clubs that do 5 highs, believe it or
Yeah,
not.
right, right.
With all of that kind of stuff to coordinate that. Sorry, I'm trying to get it on the screen
Wow.
there. That many people on the water at the same time. We've got 4 different boats going at the same time with different people
Wow.
behind them, and your radio if somebody falls, there's a lot of coordination that takes place in a really short amount of time. Actually, even this year, so I've been a skier for 30 years. This year, I'm actually in the boat because you saw in the
Okay.
one picture the guy he's not holding the rope with his hands. He's got the rope around his waist, and his hands are free to do stuff with a girl above his head.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I'm the person in the boat that if he falls, I'm pulling the pin so that it
right,
releases him and he
right.
doesn't get hurt. So we've got people that have to be able to make snap decisions. We've got boat
Yes.
drivers that are, one's going this way, one's going that way, and they got to do their. So I
Oh,
can see a lot of
wow.
potential.
Oh, yeah. That sounds great. Be a great application. Looks like a lot of fun too.
We
Yeah.
we wouldn't still be doing it after all these years. I mean, I'm saying 30 years. Kurt's got more than 40 in. And
Wow.
actually
Wow.
he's the guy on the radio this year saying, okay, boat number 1, go. Boat number 2, go. He's
I
coordinating
would
from
coordinate
shore
that.
who's doing what
Right.
when.
Right. Wow. That's good.
So hi.
Oh, Marianne is here now. I know she had a busy time going here, but how are you doing, Marianne?
I'm fantastic. I'm getting pampered, hair and nails, and summer fun, and it's the Barbie hot pink. So that's what's going on. And we applied for the film grant, San
Ah,
Francisco Persons with Disabilities. Brennan extensively filled out the application, and Kurt was reviewing it, so we're ready to submit it.
ah,
Opportunity to receive $25,000 to bring my book Underwater Acts of Kindness into animation with Brennan Williams Studio. So that's
wow.
what we have been working on. And Brennan has been awesome to do that. Hope to record my other
Oh,
books this summer in his studio here in San Carlos off of the computer. So learning something new every day. But John, I reached out to you and
yeah.
we'll talk more
Yeah, I know you had
because
internet
I've,
problems. We'll meet it. Well, yeah, definitely. When your internet's working, let's meet for sure.
yeah, it is. But I just want to spark the conversation because I've been on this book author workshop with this Katie and how to be a book author in the fiction market
Wow.
and bringing in an income. And I've been on it twice and I shared it with Kurt. So I have some ideas to write about. It's about, I don't want to say my experience because I got to interpret sign language in very locations in Honolulu, especially with the military and the Chamber of Commerce and the Air Force Band. So I thought I could step up because the children's books are done and to write a series of
Great.
books of military spouses
Oh,
and with the challenges that they overcome and such as I was I got to get going here. I interpreted for Access Sir for the amputees. I was up at Tripler Army talking about
oh,
military coming back with a cochlear implant with the children. So I have all these ideas I want to share with you, and you sparked even more with all your experience there. So I look forward to
oh,
speaking with you. And that's some of the ideas that we can continue and we can help with these additional books. So we'll connect. Thank you so much. Have a great day. I have to
thanks,
go.
Marianne.
Aloha.
Yeah, just set
And
up enough time. Use that link to set up a time and we'll meet. I'd love to.
yeah, I definitely will. I look forward to it. So thank you so much. You inspired
Thanks.
with all of your work today to do it.
Oh, thanks.
Awesome. Beautiful. Thank you so much, Marianne. Yeah, I'd say one of the, I'd say longest standing friend of show we've had. That she's
Yeah,
been such a solid piece with all the things. She's got some great stuff going on there. And I love the backdrops I see on her picture right now. There's some potential
novel.
for
Yeah,
some novels
yeah,
in there.
right.
I don't remember what she called it, the housewives of
Something. Yeah, I just saw two
the
in there.
house or the houseboat wives or something. Yeah, she was just
Right.
giving a little tease on that recently. That I was like, yeah, that has potential. Expanding her
Wow,
audience. But
absolutely.
yeah, so
Wow.
any parting thoughts that you want to leave everybody with here today? I appreciate your time, and I don't know if how long you're planning to stay with us. I appreciate you being here, and
Yeah,
I know I will definitely be having a time with you in the near future
let's
too,
do
so we
that.
can can
You
sort
know, I
things
just
out a bit
always
more.
love to be on here when I can because I always have such great people on. You know, it's always kind of fun to hang out on a Saturday afternoon. My only parting thoughts are just, you know, neuroplasticity is this incredible ability God gave our brains to change from repetition. So be aware of it, especially if you have kids. Be aware of what you're repeating because if you want to change it, then there's ways to repeat what you want it to change it to. But just be aware of what you're doing with your brain. Our brains need to be working hard to be continuing to change and get stronger. You know, even something as simple as reading a map as opposed to using Google Maps, which I do, we all do. But if you learn how to really read a map or teach your kids to read a map, you're learning your brain's working really hard actually, in all these different really important underlying cognitive skills like shape recognition, analysis, synthesis, direction, orientation. And when those are learned that way by interacting with your environment, then they become stronger. And that will impact other parts of your life, even that you're not aware of it. So you want to be aware of what you're repeating. If you're doing doom scrolling all the time, right? That's you're repeating that. That's what you're doing. Then you can change that. So anyway, just be aware of everything we repeat, and just remember that your brain needs to work hard to change, just like your body does.
Wow. And with you saying that, it makes me think here then with all of our I'm going to say younger generation. I know this applies a little more broadly than that, but people that are maybe college age and younger, that they've grown up with a phone in their hand. They've
Right,
always
right.
had some electronic gizmo to keep them occupied. Are you seeing a lot of difference in that population versus
Um,
older population?
there's been some great research on that, including a briefing to Congress recently about. I mean, there is a direct. They can see a direct correlation in when phones were introduced. Kids not doing as well in school, less behavior, I mean, more behavioral issues, less confidence, all these things. And they can see that, you know, when they do brain scans, what's happening in the brain. We basically, as children, this is what parents need to understand is the most important time is up until the age of 6 or 7. That's when all our brain, I mean, think about it. Learn how to walk, learn how to talk, learn how to do, I mean, anything you're doing. That's what forms those connections, and they grow fastest from interaction with the environment, real world, right? Not on the screen, and modeling from adults. That's why I hate going by a park and, you know, the kid will be swinging or something. Mom will be looking at her stupid phone, right? So she's modeling now to her child that it's okay to break relationship to look at a phone. And then the kids are looking at that and they're getting all these little dopamine releases, you know, and you know, that as they, you know, are on the phone, but then they're not interacting with the real world. And you might have even seen there's some horrifying videos of young kids, I mean, like 1 year old, 2 years old, and when the mom tries to take the phone away, they have a complete breakdown. It's actually an addiction. They're hitting the same centers of the brain that addiction is. As tough as addiction as heroin. And parents just need to be, there's absolutely no, now, you know, they always come up with excuses, and that's fine and good reasons, but there's no reason for a young child to be on a phone. There's this no, you know, it's not a babysitter, it's an addiction creator. Um, you know, digital dementia was coined many years ago because in South Korea, they did the studies. Kids that start on a young phone during those developmental years that are so important, by their early 20s, it already started to develop dementia because there was no foundational, strong connections to build on. So if this scares
Wow.
parents, it should. don't,
Yeah.
don't put your kid, there's no reason for your kid to be on a phone hours every day. I mean, there's no reason at all up until the age of 5 or 6. There's just no reason. They don't need it. It's just an attention grabber. You know, you know, videos, you know, the screens in cars drive me nuts too, because instead of your child being bored, which is huge for brain growth, and looking out the window and looking at buildings and looking at cars or playing the license plate game or something to keep their brain occupied, they're staring at a stupid cartoon on a screen so that they don't bother mom and dad. Well, I'm sorry. Your job is not to have your kids be quiet. Your job is to build the brain connections that are going to serve them for the rest of their life. So parents need to be
You
aware.
wonder if that's a great statement to say, because I think people don't think they have their blinders on. They're like, they just
Right.
want what they want. And it's like, wait a second, you got a responsibility here to
Right.
make sure they are doing the things they need to do so that when they have kids, they
Right.
can be that example. Oh, yeah, it just keeps falling forward there.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
It's okay for your kids to be bored. It's really okay.
okay.
It's okay. It's good. That's when they get creative. They did a study in Japan and they had this child with all these toys and they gradually took them away. And when there was only one left, he occupied himself for hours because he made up his own games. He used his creativity and everything else as opposed to being told what to do with what they were.
Mm.
So that's where the growth happened.
Amazing. Oh, wow. Thank you so much for all the nuggets you dropped on us today. I really, really appreciate you and all the great things you're doing. So, and
Thank
oh my
you.
gosh, and time's flying when I'm enjoying conversations like this.
This is
So,
great.
for all of us here with the World of Ability Podcast Network, as always, we thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks again, Sue and Kurt, for